Welcome to the Wing Graphs lesson. My name is Captain Ben Hurst. I'm the County Shooting Officer for Derbyshire ACF, and the idea of this lesson is to build on the previous taught elevation graphs lesson. Looking at the objectives, by the end of this lesson you will be able to plot the fall of shot accurately on the scorecard, building on what we've previously been taught in the elevation graphs lesson. Log all the sight adjustments made onto the scorecard accurately. Plot the elevation and the wing graphs. And finally, be able to centralize your group using the graph. So before getting on the firing point, you need to try and fill out as much of the information on the scorecard as you can up to that stage. So looking at the bottom left-hand box, you've got your rifle number, the foresight element size, the weather, in this case it was a nice sunny day, the date which you shot the card or you're going to shoot the card, the time which you're scheduled to shoot, the ammunition that you're using that day, and if you can tie it down to a specific batch number, that will be even better, the range that you're going to be shooting on, and the target number that is allocated to the scramble board. And looking at the event, obviously for this it's a scorebook exercise looking at wing graphs. You can add in the rear sight aperture and have a look at the brightness on the day, and in this case we've gone with bright. You can then look to add in the elevation on the scorecard for shot A, and from that you should be able to populate your graph with that basic information, with your starting elevation striking through on the waterline, counting up as you go lower and down as you go higher. And then you can start to look at the flags and what the wind's doing. In this case you can see that we've got a wind blowing left to right, and then from the strength you can then look at your scorecard, and there's a little bit of a chart that will give you some form of indication based on wind strength and angle to fire your first shot from. In this case we've gone for 3 minutes left wind, and for this one, when populating the graph, you put the 3 down the center of the target and then count out from there. I always put a little L and an R to resemble left and right, and then count accordingly. And you'll notice exactly the same as the elevation graph, the left and the right are the opposite way round. Okay, we've now filled out all of our scorecard information that we can before the shoot. We've been allowed forward onto the firing point, and we have got our rifle set up. We're in the prone position, ready for message 1, and the firer is ready. So from this point, have a final look at the flags. Make sure you're happy with your starting wind, which we're going to go for 3 minutes left wind, and get the firer to fire his first shot. At this point, as soon as the shot has been fired, you can then log what your starting wind was. It's important that you do it after the shot's fired, because in changing conditions you may need to adjust those sights a number of times before you fire the shot, and if you're logging it as you go along, the scorebook can get quite messy. So doing it after, it just keeps everything nice and tidy. And always make sure that you are putting the value that is on the sights, not the strength of the change, if that makes sense. It was a good shot, and it's come up as a right-handed bull. So the first thing you do as soon as the target comes up is plot that on the scorecard. It's important to get this information down first, because if you are firing in a 3, it enables the other firer to get on with his shot, and if you are slow off the mark, you don't lose that information off the target when it goes down. Once you've done that, you then need to look at your elevation graph. So for this one we started on 20 minutes elevation. It was slightly high, so you look at the difference of what it should have been on. In this case we've gone for just under 19.5, or sorry, just over 19.5. And you do the same with the wind. You know that you was on 3 minutes left wind. Should have probably been on 3.5 to 3 3/4. And that's what you plot on the scorecard. So your graphs are showing what the shot should have been on if you'd have got it spot on. And then finally, you can log the score value and then fire the next shot. It was another good shot, and it's a nice V-ball. So again, first thing you need to do is plot the fall of shot as accurately on the scorecard as you can, and then look at the elevation. So in this case it was slightly below the waterline, probably half a minute. So in this case it should have probably been around 20.5 minutes elevation. And then do the same for the windage. So it was on 3, should have probably been on 3.25 to 3.5, and that's what you plot. Log the score value, and at this stage, if you want to convert your sighters, this is the time that you need to convert them. Remember the rules for conversions. You can either take both of the sighters or just the second. As for the actual competition card, the match card, it needs to be 10 consecutive shots. You need to make sure that the register keeper is aware that you want to convert those just by shouting up that you'll take them, please. And then on the scorecard, nice and neatly, put a diagonal line through the sighters and carry them through into shot 1 and shot 2. And then you're ready to fire your next shot. And it was another good shot. And it's come up to the low slightly right in the bull. So again, make sure you plot that as accurately as you can. And then have a look at your elevation graph. Again, it's below the waterline at 20. Should have probably been 20 3/4. And that's what you plot on the graph. Remember to try and make sure that the plots on the graph resemble the shot number. As you can see, because I've converted those sighters, I've left shot 1 and shot 2 blank. So as it all flows through in a logical sequence. And the same on the windage graph. So have a look at what the wind was on. Should have probably been around 3.5. And that's what you plot. And then finally log the score value. And then you're ready to fire the next shot. It was another good shot. And it's slightly high in the V-ball, but we'll take V-balls all day long. Okay, so plot the fall of shot first of all. Then look at the elevation. This time we're half a minute high, so that should have probably gone on about 19.5. So you plot that. And then look at the wind. Now that was bang on the central line there, so that should be bang on 3 minutes, which it is. And then again, finally plot the score value and take your next shot. And another good shot. And still in the V-ball, lovely. So again, plot the fall of shot. Look at the elevation graph first of all. We're still slightly above 20, so it probably should have been a 19 3/4. And then looking at the wind, we were still on 3 minutes left. Should have probably been 3.5, and that's what you plot on the graph. And again, finally, log the score value and take your next shot. Okay, that was pulled high. First of all, plot the fall of shot. Now with this one, because it's a bad shot, what you also need to do is circle it. That indicates it as a bad shot, so when you're making informed decisions about the group, you can at least bear that in mind. And you do exactly the same on the graph. Plot the shot and circle it. And the same on the wind, plot the shot and circle it. So you're aware if you're having to use that graph to centralize your group. And finally, log the score value. Take your next shot. And there's another good one again. And we're back in the bull. So you plot the fall of shot, calculate the elevation graph. So this time we're low again. So it should have probably been on 20 3/4. And this time was a little bit too left-handed. So for this, should have probably been 2.5 to 2 1/4, depending on how you see it. And finally, log the score value. And fire your next shot. Oh, that was a bad shot. Okay, so he's called that really bad. So you plot that, and again, exactly as you did with shot 6, circle it to identify it as a bad shot, and do the same on the graph. So it was almost a minute low on that one, so that should have probably been just under 21, which is what we've plot. And again, you circle it, and the same for the wind. And then finally the value. And take your next shot. It was another good shot. And a nice central V-ball. So again, same as before, plot the shot as accurately as you can first of all, then calculate all the rest. Position on the elevation graph, position on the wind graph, and then the score value. And then your last shot when you're ready. It was another good shot. And we've kept it in the bull, slightly left-handed. Finally, plot the fall of shot, the elevation graph, the wind graph, the fall of shot, or the score value, and then finally calculate the overall score. What we're going to move on to look at now then is a practice plotting exercise, exactly the same as what we did for the elevation graphs, just to try and consolidate what you've learnt. For this, you're going to need another 500-yard scorecard and either a clicky pencil or a normal pencil with a sharpener. If you've not got those items to hand, if you want to press pause on the presentation now, go away, get what you need, and then once you're all set up, press play and we'll make a start. Okay, for this practice exercise, the screen in front of you will be as though you're looking through the scope. You're going to be acting as the plotter and I'm going to be narrating as though I'm the coach. We're going to be starting off on 14 minutes elevation. And the fire is now on the firing point. Message 1 has been passed. Just give you a second longer just to populate the information on the elevation graph. Okay, target 68 yellow. Go on. And it was a good shot. And it went on 0 wind. Okay, so the first thing again, plot the fall of shot and then complete the rest of the scorebook for that shot. Target 68 yellow. Go on. Another good shot. Okay, so same again, plot the fall of shot, do the rest of the scorebook work for that shot. Target 68 yellow. Go on. Okay, we've got an elevation change to 13.5. Another good shot. And it went on 1.5 left wind. Okay, lovely V-ball to start. Target 68 yellow. Go on. Another good shot. So do what you need to do on the scorebook. Target 68 yellow. Go on. And another good shot. Okay, do all the work that you need to do on the scorebook for that shot. Target 68 yellow. Go on. Another elevation change down to 13. And another good shot. And that went on 1 left. Okay, do what you need to do. Target 68 yellow. Go on. And another good shot. And in the V, nice shooting. Target 68 yellow. Go on. And another good shot. And still in the V, lovely. Target 68 yellow. Go on. Another good shot. I'm still in the ball, just a little low. Target 68 yellow. Go on. Another good shot. Okay, just a little bit out the group, that one. Target 68 yellow. Go on. Another slight elevation change. It's gone on 11, wrong, 13 and a half. It was a good shot. And back to 0 wind. Okay, good shooting, back in the ball. Target 68 yellow. Go on. And that's all out. And pulled it down, pulled it low. And it has just snuck underneath. Okay. The final thing you need to do then, once you've plotted the final plots on the graph, is calculate the total score. I hope you all got through that exercise okay. The diagram in front now shows you what your scorecard should look like. So I will leave this on here a second now to give you a chance to cross-examine what you've done. And if it doesn't look anything like, then if you want, you could go through the exercise again. If you feel that the pace was a little quick, you can always pause it in between shots to give you the opportunity to keep on top of the bookwork, and then as you get more confident, you should be able to let it play through at its correct speed. Finally then, just looking at the summary, hopefully, if everything's gone to plan in this lesson, you've been taught to plot the fall of shot accurately on the scorecard, log all sight adjustments made on the scorecard, accurately plot elevation and wind graphs, and be able to centralize your group by using the graph. Now, obviously the main focus of this graph is by using the mean of the group to be able to easily identify, despite sight adjustments, where the average centre of the group is. However, in difficult wind conditions, you can also use it to help bracket for your extreme left group and your extreme right group, depending on wind changes. That will come with practice and experience, but it is a very, very useful tool for doing that. There's a number of practice scorecard exercises that can be found on YouTube. So if you want to practice this further before you get out on the range, then that's a good place to start. And thank you for listening.